Welcome back, friends, to paneling. I was talking about Doflamingo's devil fruit powers last time. He ate the string fruit. He's a string man. There is a certain... I really think to be completely frank, the Dressrosa arc has been very long and fine for the most part, but not like the most interesting. I'm kind of weird in what One Piece arcs I really like and which ones I don't have a whole lot of juice for one way or the other. I know one thing that is going to definitely like set me apart from a certain crowd. That crowd being majority of the One Piece fan base is I really enjoy the Davy Back games. I think Foxy's great. I really love Thriller Bark. I think Gecko Moria is great. I think every villain in Thriller Bark is great. I'll tell you why in a second. There's a reason I think that Doflamingo is great too, and we'll get into that. But I really love villains that stand as a real counterpoint to Luffy and who Luffy is, right? So that's why I like Foxy so much, because Foxy is the anti-Luffy in a lot of ways, in that he cheats at everything. He is conniving and scheming. He doesn't really seem to care about sailing the Grand Line or getting the One Piece or anything like that. He's like collecting more and more pirates for his crew through nefarious needs. It means it's like something exactly the opposite of Luffy, who like only takes along like the true friends and people who are really special to him. And never is that more exemplified than when Luffy wins Davy Back games and they ask which of the Foxy pirates do you want? He's like, I don't want any of you. No, that's not how we roll on Straw Hat Crew. None of you are coming with me. But Foxy being kind of like cowardly and conniving, just pretty much Wario, right? And a big cheater. I just thought that played really well, and I spent the entirety of Skypiea thinking like, Luffy being like is the hard counter to Eneru, combat wise. So like the story in Skypiea is whoops, Luffy's the hard counter to Eneru. He's gonna be swallowed by a snake for most of this fight. I feel like it would if Eneru had been Foxy instead and had just been a giant coward who was like super runaway and made it really difficult for Luffy to even reach him, and like that was kind of that story, that I would have liked that a lot better than what we actually got in Skypiea. But I feel the same way about Gecko Moria in Thriller Bark. Is Gecko Moria is like, he wants to be king of the pirates. Just like Luffy. He's got the same stated goal as Luffy, but he's got an entirely different take on how to get there. And he's super lazy. And he doesn't like to do anything for himself. He just likes to sit and watch other people do his work for him. As opposed to Luffy, who's like, super duper hands-on and I found that to be very compelling, a very compelling kind of dynamic between those two. And Doflamingo, who's just, at his heart, he is just a bad man, right? There's not a whole lot to him from that regard. He is a bad man. He was a bad, spoiled child who grew up to be a bad man, powerful man who uses his power to hurt others and and make people miserable. And that's very generic. That doesn't really relate a whole lot to the spiritual quest of Monkey D. Luffy. But what I do like in this arc, and it's more a thing about like Dressrosa in particular, is like the flame fruit is kind of at the heart of what's going on in that arc, and that's considered to be one of the most powerful devil fruits, and that's why he will want it. Meanwhile, like you've got devil fruit users that have like really powerful devil fruits, but Luffy tends to overcome all of them just kind of with his tenacity and the amount of time and practice he's put into making the most of the Gum fruit. And that's the thing that he shares in common with Doflamingo, is having having a devil fruit power that is on the surface and to like the casual observer pretty useless. The Gum fruit and the String fruit being like oh boy, you can make string, who cares? And Doflamingo just kind of like, they don't. Again, maybe this is the kind of thing that's going to be covered in extensively in flashback. I really hope it's not. I really hope they just kind of leave it the way it is. I mean Oda. But like, Doflamingo has clearly had a similar path to power to Luffy, in that he's got a kind of a jokey devil fruit power that he has through practice and honing of his abilities turned into like a really deadly and formidable skill. So I really like that, and that makes him. That's what I feel makes him a good foil for Luffy. Not really anything to do with his personality. The personality thing is really, that's more of Law's story. I didn't talk much about technical stuff because I got lost talking about One Piece, but this is looking pretty cool. Now, I'm fairly heavy-handed with the pencil, right? I'm fairly heavy-handed with my brushes. I do not have a fine touch. I golf with a bowling ball, right? That being said, I think I've still managed to capture kind of the heart of what's going on here. Now, what I like about this panel is there really is no gray tones. All of that is done with black and white, and either just lines or I'm not entirely sure what you would call it. We'll call them dots and lines, right? And we get that communication is speed and movement from those lines. Not 100% sure that you could tell like that's water underneath him in either one. I'm not saying this is my fault here. Based on the context, it's one panel out of a sequence, and that's one of the cool things about sequential art is you can set up a scene early on with an establishing panel, and then you don't need to continuously establish your background and your scene setting in your subsequent panels. You can throw little notes in there for flavor, but you don't need to. Like, we know he's over the ocean because the panel before this is him over the ocean. So this is just a close-in on kind of, a high intensity moment in that scene. If you had to draw a detailed background in every single panel that you did, and people tried to pull like some kind of CinemaSins style critique over you, being like, well, you can't tell. I just dropped my pen. You can't tell that that's water in this panel. It's like, well, that's why it's sequential, you know? That's why it's a comic. If every illustration needed to tell the full story, there would be no need to do a sequence of panels. You could just do one image. That was pretty catty the way that I described that, but you know, whatever. I do need to pick up my pen. Coming up on the end of today, I don't want to get too deep into ink or anything. This is really the end of the pencil. I'm pretty happy with this. Like every good One Piece bad guy, Dofi's got a tree trunk neck full of evil veins through which his evil blood runs. I guess the last thing I really want to do on the pencil is kind of yeah, not bad. Not bad, not bad. I think that should be a little bit more intense. Yeah, that's pretty good. Not sure why I had his eyeballs where I had them. You know, getting ready to put this in the drawer for a while and come back and do the inks, and I'm wondering, like, how much of what I have done will I appreciate later on down the line. I think this is pretty good, though. Alright, so after this, well, there's some gray tone on there. Very light, but it is there. Alright, next time ink, then a really quick tone stage. And then lettering. Boom. Cool. Hey, stick around for the plug. Thanks for joining me this week. I'll see you next time.